Okay, so let's go to the next presentation by Nicholas Kapsoulis, Innov-Acts on know your customer, know your business on a blockchain solution. Nicholas.
Okay, hello from my side. This is Nikos Kapsoulis from Innov-Acts, Nicosia. I'm going to share a video first to present the KYC and KYB solution on the INFINITECH, and I'm going to talk over and explain as video. So this is the INFINITECH blockchain solution for the financial sectors. Know your customer and know your business use case. In every know your customer knows your business scenario, there is an individual client or corporation that submits their data to a financial organization like a bank, an insurance company, or a financial institution. In our solution, customer data is shared on an invitation-only blockchain infrastructure where each financial company accesses the data through their dedicated CRM interface. Information groups, such as Group 1, define the way data is organized and shared on the underlying blockchain infrastructure. In the beginning of your case, both financial institutions 1 and 2 had the same view of the data, while the first institution owns the permissions of Group 1. At this point of the demonstration, the institution 1 has already disabled the access to institution 2 for newly submitted data. Hence, when we're going to register a new client on the institution 1, the submitted know your client data is not visible yet by the second one. In our implementation here, the know your client information submit along with their expiration date, while the institution will promptly notify their client for updating the data. After the onboarding, the newly submitted know your client information is displayed on the institution 1 CRM interface, whereas the second institution is waiting for granted access. In the meanwhile, more clients are onboarded and they are displayed on the institution 1 view. And we can see here, of course. The institution user is viewing the relevant know your client information of the new registered clients. Through the permissions functionality, the first institution is able to view the requested access for information groups and manage the accessibility per requesting institution. At this point, a group of clients have chosen to initiate business relations with the second institution, while institution 1 needs to grant access. Due to the underlying infrastructure, the data is backed by immutable security through cryptographic and mathematical laws, as we will explain later also. One of the key capabilities is that the onboarding of the clients of institution 2 is realized simply with an access control slider. In our implementation, the know your client onboarding becomes a very rapid and valuable process for both the client and the institutions, when the information of the clients are up to date and synchronized inside a tamper-proof network of trusted financial organizations. There's no central authority managing the data due to the underlying blockchain infrastructure, of course. When the client is updated, the synchronization takes place across the entire private network. In the meanwhile, the second institution checks their view and the data, and they acknowledge the granted data, the granted access on Group 1. The institution 1, the institution user is able to view the know your client of the new. Okay, and this is a presentation of the video actually for the KYC and KYB on-chain solution. We had a problem with the audio, but we solved it with the presentation, with a live presentation. So I'm going to share my slides and explain a little bit more on what we saw here actually. Okay, we can see my slides. I will continue and explain our solution. So we're talking here about KYC, KYB use case, the standard use case of the financial sector. And we would like to have a title of the solution where we're doing intelligent data sharing with blockchain, and what this all mean. We will start with the know your customer and know your business standard use case and what it is. We're having, of course, an actor, which is a client that approaches financial institution to initiate business relations. The financial institution queries the shared KYC platform. This is what happens in the real world today and how KYC and KYB process is implemented. And after the institution queries the shared KYC platform, they validate the identity of the client after they match with trusted sources. They match their data. So the onboarding process is completed, and the client is onboarded on the institution, which means they have submitted their KYC data. Why we need KYC, KYB compliance? It is actually how the financial sector is protected from fraudulent activities like money laundering and terrorist financing and so on. So in the standard centralized approach that I'm describing right now, we're having the institution which is consulting trusted sources of data, as we said earlier. And what this means is that they ask about the client data from government registries, tax registries, or central KYC registry, which is actually very big companies that are dedicated to this business, and they keep stored client information. And after this whole procedure ends, there is the verification of the client, of course. So we're going now to see it on our solution on the INFINITECH blockchain. This exact procedure, how we have transferred it and have it more efficient and effective. So we're having again the institution, of course, and at this time, the institution that the client approaches consults an entire trusted network. And what does this mean? The entire blockchain network has participants that are pre-approved, and they are legal ones. There is no malicious party that will alter data. Otherwise, it is not admitted inside the network. So the data is, of course, decentralized in this way, that is distributed and replicated among all the legal participants. And of course, the last step, the verification again happens, and the client is onboarded. So in a nutshell, this is how we approach the KYC KYB problem. And the first step on deep diving on this problem is actually, I want to mention the security one, because it is very important to understand the open blockchain that we hear and most people are aware of, which is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. And here we're talking about a private one, a privileged blockchain, due to the underlying Hyperledger platform. Okay. And now we're having, as we saw in the video, a simple diagram of our solution, where the financial institution one has access to several information groups as we have defined, which is data organized inside the blockchain network. And the key functionality here is that institution 2 would like to have access to some of these groups, and they request from institution 1. And this is the whole concept, and I will explain right now why we want this, what it will give us as advantage. So, of course, in our solution, we have implemented the data assertion, read access of data, update access of data, and sharing of the data, all on the INFINITECH blockchain network. And as we have understood already, the main actors is the client that approaches the financial institution and wants to be KYC on board, as we say in the relevant data. So why we need the INFINITECH on-chain KYC KYB solution? As we have seen already in the workshop, we need blockchain because it combines things like security, integrity, confidentiality, privacy in one single platform. And why is that? this is actually how it is constructed, the blockchain, and why this new technology is very it's needed and used already. So we're talking about our actual solution, which and its traits. The first one, of course, the aforementioned the information groups, which is the way that we organize data specifically for this use case and how we will manage it inside the blockchain network. But what we really want to understand here is that this is how the financial institution can share client data with other institutions without having the client to re-register in each one. And I'm continuing with the trait of our solution. One major one is the single network that we're having, the private INFINITECH blockchain network, and that the updates of the client information happen replicates to all of the copies inside the network, which solves a very important problem in this financial sector use case, since the update of the client data is not something that that is very easy to do and automated to do. The next trait, of course, is the rapid onboarding, as mentioned a little bit before. But here we see that the rapid onboarding, it means that the client approaches the institution, and after they have initiated business relations with one institution, they can just give their consent, their approval to institution one in order for institution two to have their data. In other words, there is no re-registration, as I have already said. With a simple turn of the switch, as we saw in the video, the data is shared among the institutions. And of course, there is the possibility of withdrawing client information and on the client request, of course. So at this point, I would like to thank you for your time. I can take one or two quick questions, as we will also have time later for questions, as I see. Otherwise, I would like to mention the next topic, which is analyzing blockchain transaction graphs for fraudulent activities. And there will be an introduction from John.
Yes, let's see if there are any questions. Let's see if there are any questions to this presentation, the KYC presentation. I have a couple of questions, but let's see if there are any questions from the audience. Okay, one of the questions I have is, isn't that a little bit similar to the presentation by INFINITECH? So essentially, can I tune the presentation of INFINITECH can I tune the system, the consent management system of INFINITECH to implement this? Maybe I don't know, Dimitris could also answer this question, because it's essentially about giving consent here, right? This is what you do. You actually get the consent of the customer to use their data about another digital onboarding, right? So it seems to me a little bit similar. So this is one question. And another, which is a bit more technical, is whether to form this information group, do you use the channels mechanism of the fabric, right? The creation of different channels to support it, how you form, in different information groups in a blockchain. So I understand that not every group sees the information of the other group, right? There are different, groups inside the blockchain. How is this is done? Is this using the channels mechanism of the fabric? So these two questions, I don't know, maybe first one is also for Dimitris, if he's available, or you, Nikos.
Yes, just let me, for the first question, if I understood correctly, John, you mentioned that we can integrate these two solutions, right? Of course, having the consent in order to share their KYC data, right?
Integrate or replace, or can I use, for example, well, I can use Nico's solution, but could I potentially use your solution to implement the KYC, because it's similar about consent management, right? Or
Okay.
Thinking out loud now, we could use our system to formulate the decision if I can access your data and access your data through your solution, just thinking out loud. But of course, more options are available.
Okay, from my side, it seems similar, because the two systems that we presented with Dimitris are like sequential. I mean, the system of Dimitris happens first, the consent, and then the distribution among the information groups is another system. So yes, the integration would be a very interesting point, and to implement. So this is why it seems, because they are on the same domain, and they are in very close implementation pipelines. So yes, for this, and for the second question that also John mentioned, it is actually the underlying blockchain technology, as I mentioned already. It's the Hyperledger Fabric blockchain platform, which offers a private network to an invitation-only network to pre-approved participants. And how we have actually implemented our Infinitech information groups here, we have exploited the channels functionality of the Hyperledger Fabric. If anyone is aware of this famous functionality, we have extended the functionality to with new capabilities in order to form our information groups and have all this solution here in this presentation. Yes. Okay.
Because typically in a blockchain, everybody's having the ledger, right? But in the fabric, you can form different subgroups, right, through channels. Okay, having said all that, I think Nikos, maybe you can close also your audio. I think let's move to the next presentation. We are, just only few minutes out of schedule, and which is actually a very exciting topic, because you understand one of the biggest things in blockchain, especially in Bitcoin and Ethereum. Here, I guess we will talk about public blockchains, is the fraud aspect, the aspect of fraudulent activities. So a lot of people say, okay, Bitcoin is about, money laundering and illegal activities and things like this. So actually, we will see something exciting here, how you can trace some of this illegal activity. So you have some extra information about what's going on with your activities on the blockchain. So Albert, yes, please, we would like to hear this presentation and see it.
Thank you, John. Can you hear me?
Very well. Very well.
Okay. Thanks for the introduction again, John. So I'm going to be talking about our project and the INFINITECH project. It's basically the work that we are doing in Pilot 9 in the project together with Active Bank. So again, I'm Alper Şen from Boğaziçi University. So the title is Analyzing Blockchain Transaction Graphs for Fraudulent Activities. I'm going to do a brief introduction regarding our objectives and motivation. Then I'll talk about blockchain adoption in EU, and then show our architecture, and then what are the innovations that we have come up with so far in the pilot, and then I'm going to do a short demo. Okay, so as actually John also gave this motivation earlier, we know that the crypto, market capitalization of crypto assets has grown immensely, and as of February 16, it was $1.49 trillion, and actually I stopped counting it, so it's probably gone up even since then. And not only that, actually, notwithstanding that, there's institutional interest in crypto assets. So again, like it was mentioned before, Tesla made a $1.5 billion investment, which actually increased the value of Bitcoin quite a bit. And also big institutional places such as MasterCard, they indicated that they are going to support in 2021 crypto assets, meaning they will let merchants accept payments in crypto this year, actually. So this is a major thing, because you could actually buy crypto assets using your credit card, but you couldn't do payments with that. But MasterCard is planning to roll this out actually this year. And in fact, even Amazon, so just recently, yesterday, I guess, they announced the general availability of Ethereum, which is the other public blockchain, popular public blockchain, and that they are going to make it available in the Amazon managed blockchain. So there are a lot of news about blockchain in the media, and there are several new use cases of blockchain other than the crypto assets. Actually, the talks that you have seen so far in the workshop today, they show aspects of KYC and consent management, and there are other use cases such as savings accounts, stable coins, decentralized finance. So there are tons of applications of blockchains are emerging. We'll see in time actually which ones take a strong footing. But in any case, crypto assets are there, and it's a big market. Again, since we have a lot of interest in blockchain, several regulations are being rolled out, because public blockchain is actually interfacing with our traditional finance system. So we need some regulations, but these regulations are pretty new and they just started. So we need even more regulations. So one of the regulations that was rolled out by US Treasury was that banks can now provide custody service to crypto assets. So you have banks that can actually be the service provider for stable coins, for example. And then Global Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Watchdog, so 180 countries, I think, are a member of this organization. They came up with an announcement and saying that they want effective systems for monitoring and supervision of these virtual asset service providers, because you have a lot of service providers providing virtual assets, cryptocurrencies, etc. They need to be monitored and supervised. So we are, this is the regulations that has happened so far in the blockchain, a few of them. And what's happening in EU regarding blockchain adoption? EU is also following on the blockchain bandwagon, let's say. They support a holistic approach to blockchain and distributed ledger technologies, aiming at positioning Europe at the forefront of blockchain innovation and uptake. So this is important that Europe is actually is wanting to spearhead this technology as well. And there's European Commission blockchain strategy, which is actually available at that website that I put over there. And in there, you're going to also see European blockchain service infrastructure that's mentioned there, which is a network of distributed nodes across Europe that will deliver cross-border public services. So some of these services, we talked about in the workshop, but the other services that are mentioned in the EBSI, European Blockchain Services Infrastructure, are trusted data sharing, notarization capabilities, diplomas, from schools, universities, etc., self-sovereign identity, and many other services like that. And if you go onto their website, actually, you can see how you can be a partner of EBSI. And then the technology, underlying technology that they are using is Ethereum Enterprise, together with the Hyperledger, which was mentioned by IBM actually earlier too. So Hyperledger is a technology, blockchain technology that's used in the INFINITECH project. And okay, oops. Let's see. All right, so what are we doing in our pilot? Basically, with the interaction of the traditional finance ecosystem, which is seen on the right as our blue world, and the yellow showing the public blockchain, there are interactions between the two worlds through the use of token contracts, which was again, showed by Fabiana earlier in her presentation, such as stable coins. So you have actually, denominations or assets such as, a contract being equal to $1 or 1 Turkish lira, etc. So, and banks are providing custody service. So hence, fraudulent activities that may be happening on the public blockchain have a way of now getting into our traditional finance system. So as also it was mentioned earlier by the global watchdog, that we need monitoring for these blockchain transactions. So that's what we are doing actually in this project. We are providing capabilities for monitoring fraudulent activities. So how are we doing that? Since the number of transactions in the public blockchain is growing immensely, we need a scalable solution. So we have a scalable parallel transaction graph construction and analysis technology. So essentially, we are using high-performance computing solutions here. This is our expertise in the project. And furthermore, what comes out of this technology, we have a way of demonstrating it to the end user, to the customer, through user interface. So what does this transaction graphs look like? So like I said, there are tons of transactions over here. We have a way of effectively and efficiently finding those transactions and then demonstrating them. So this is just a high-level view of just a part of the transaction graph, on the left. And then when you zoom in, actually, you're going to see actual addresses, the transaction amounts, etc., happening, and nodes with different color codes, etc., etc. So in our pilot, we have a layered architecture, as you can see over here. I'm not going to go into the details of it, but essentially we have a way of working with the public Ethereum blockchain data. We can take in ERC20 token transactions, and we have a way of handling Bitcoin transactions. And we are planning to integrate Hyperledger transactions together with the ERC20, as was mentioned earlier by IBM, and ERC 1155, which is what we are planning to work on this year, which will allow us to provide functionality for multiple tokens. So again, some of the innovations that we have come up with in the pilot, the scalability, high performance computing is what we are working on, and faster processing thanks to parallelism. And there are some commercial solutions, very few in the, out there, but they have a limited way of handling transaction data. Ours is unique in the sense that we can efficiently and effectively handle the complete transaction graph. So it has hundreds of millions of data points in it, and we have an efficient way of handling this thanks to high performance computing. And again, it's a cost-effective solution because we are mainly using open source libraries. The way that we are generating this transaction graph, etc., can also be used in other application domains such as IBAN transactions, etc., as well. But that's not what I'm going to be talking about today. Here's just an example of the transaction graph again. And here I wanted to demonstrate you the, as you may have heard again in the news, that there are several hacking attempts on blockchain. So this also, lowers public confidence. And one of the hackings was on that Singapore-based crypto exchange, DragonX. And essentially what we are doing here is, once somebody provides us with the nodes, blacklist nodes, addresses, and then if a customer is, like as shown here with the purple circle here, is interested in, let's say, doing some transaction with our bank or etc., then we can try to see if there's a path from this blacklist node to the customer of interest. And then if there's a path, then we can kind of come up with some kind of credit risk assessment rather. And in this graph, actually, we have just showing a snippet of the transactions that are available out there, and the zoomed in version is showing, you know, the blacklist node and the node of interest and the paths that you can generate. So again, we can handle this complete graph in an efficient and effective way. Okay, so there's some technological innovations that we have performed in the project too, but I'm not gonna go into the details of this. I'm gonna share my demo video now. Okay, please bear with me, I know. Okay, share. Nice. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see my VLC. I am gonna talk over, you may hear some sound, but I'm basically gonna skip over some of this and then show parts of show our demo platform and then show our user interface for this transaction, fraudulent transaction analysis system. That is the user interface part is again developed by ActiveBank, part of in our pilot. So again, this is the high-level platform that we have. We have the public blockchain entering. We have a way of analyzing the transactions. And then once we have those, we put the data on a scalable, a high-performance computing structure. And then at the end, we have a web user interface. We also have a way of interacting with the data through Python, etc. But today I'm going to show you the web user interface. Again, it's a preliminary interface. We are still working on improving it. So I'm going to skip over to some of the capabilities of the user interface. So the first one, so this is what it looks like. We have a way of tracing from blacklist nodes to the addresses of interest. We have a way of adding or increasing our blacklist database. And we have a way of ranking the addresses in terms of the importance. And then we have a way of seeing what kind of assets that we are tracking or addresses that we are tracking in our asset list. So I'm going to show some of these, each one of these briefly to you. So in the trace to blacklist, what we do is we basically enter an address of interest and give a time range. And after that, our system returns a subgraph, as you may hear John's voice, John Estelan's voice. So this is basically our blacklist node, and these are the nodes that are on the path, and this purple one is the address of interest. So we return this path, and what you can see is actually this is a subgraph that shows the customer node, you know, over here, and the blacklist node, and then essentially we have some simple scoring on these edges in terms of the path distance from the blacklist. But we have proposed actually in our pilot that we are going to incorporate machine learning techniques. So this year, that's what we are going to be working on to come up with effective scoring values for these customer addresses actually. So we are collecting several features to come up with that machine learning solution as well. But currently, we are just returning some static scores based on the distance from the blacklist node. And the next one. So over here, we could actually also trace, start traces from multiple black nodes. So in the previous example, I just showed the single originating blacklist address and then a destination customer address. You could actually do the same thing from multiple blacklist addresses to your customer. So that's another functionality that we allow in our system. You can upload blacklist nodes to the system, and we currently have 4,000 addresses. A lot of these addresses are available on the internet, from the websites such as the U.S. Treasury. You can collect these addresses, and this one shows the list of assets that we're tracking. So we currently have Ether addresses. We have token contracts, such as P-Lira, Gemini Dollar, Tether USD. So there are 31 major token contracts are being tracked. We don't have the Bitcoin data in the system yet, but that's what we are planning to add. And so another important thing that we are planning to use for ranking or determining whether a transaction is fraudulent, or essentially giving a score to a customer, is trying to see how close it is to important addresses. So what does it mean, important address? Typically, these are the ones with high page rank. Google uses this page rank system too. And if you have a high page rank, that typically means that you are one of those service providers, such as places where you can buy your Bitcoin or Ether. So if you are one hop away from those addresses, that means you're, the likelihood of you being a fraudulent address is very low, because those places make sure that they collect a lot of data actually from the users. They get their IDs, etc. So those are so if you are very close to them, you are in good shape. So what we do is actually on that huge hundreds of millions of large data set, we can come up with the addresses, the top 10 in this case. So such as these are the top 10 nodes. And if you look at the top node, so you have the address, in fact, that corresponds, you can search for it on the Etherscan, that corresponds to a well-known exchange, which is Binance actually. So you can see the name right here. So PageRank is an important data for us. We are planning to use this for ranking the addresses again. And finally, we have this interface with Python, etc., which actually I'm not going to discuss. But at the high level, this is what our user interface looks like. Hopefully, it was clear. I'm done with my presentation. I'd be happy to get your questions or comments.
Are there any questions for Alper on these presentations from the audience? Are there any questions? Anyone want to speak or type? So Alper, my question from from this presentation, and again from let's put it this way, from the crypto investor standpoint, right? Is that when I'm entering the Bitcoin network, I have some sort of pseudonymity, right? So you don't know who am I, right? Or does your system, what is the kind of insight that they can give to the bank or a regulator? And do you think it would be possible to trace back to the actual, individual, or this is out of scope of the system? So that's my question.
Okay, I'll try to answer once I'm done. Maybe John Öztürk can also add to the response actually. So if you are an individual user, trying to buy crypto assets, when you go to one of these sites such as Binance, you have to give them actually your ID information. So they want valid ID information. So you're not anonymous at that point. What happens is that
I guess Coinbase as well, right? Coinbase, maybe finance, all these exchanges, right? That are
yes, all those exchanges make sure that the customers who are buying assets are actually valid customers, so that they can trace. So same thing with banks, right? You need to have valid customers. So what's happening is that, you know, so in that respect, if you are one transaction away from those exchanges, you are validated. But, you know, once you have the Bitcoins and then you transfer those to others and then those others transfer to others, etc., then you're further away, right? And then that means, you know, the addresses on the way, there may be some that are not validated. So we need a way of kind of giving scores to those addresses as well. So that's something that we are working on in this pilot. And the second thing is, there are actually some commercial solutions out there, such as, I believe it was chain analysis. So the banks and even these Binance kind of places, they pay these places to get feedback about the customer addresses. You know, how many transactions was this address involved in the past or up to now? You know, what are they doing, their activity graphs, etc. So they have a way of accumulating all this data and then giving it back to those kind of places in terms of a score or a ranking, right? Critical, not risky, etc. So this is probably what I have. John, do you have any, John Astron, do you have any comment on this?
Yes, I mean,
I understand. This is going to be, you know, maybe a synergy of the exchange or the regulator if they enter into the game. So it's, you know, it's a system for the present, but also for the future, I would say, which we don't know exactly what the future
will look like. Yeah, we don't know.
Some people imagine that, you know, we may have a world with less taxation, less control, and so on. But, you know, history teaches us that, you know, big centralized bureaucracies will not, you know, give their power so easily. So
exactly.
they're gonna fight for it. So this is what we know from the history, and most likely this will happen at this time. But we expect to see how this will be done. They will embrace the decentralization. They will give some incentives. They're gonna ban. They're gonna chase. So there are a million of things that might happen, and this is, I think, part exciting of the Bitcoin. We have also a question from Arnaud. I don't know if Arnaud wants to you know, comment himself, but the question is, what is the availability of your system, the license, the code? I'm sure, Alper, that we're going to have it as an asset in the INFINITECH marketplace, but I don't know what the license you are going to have, a proprietary or open source, or I don't know also what is the purpose, you know, of Arnaud, if you can tell us, because Arnaud could contact you directly, right? As well, in addition to the fact that in the INFINITECH project, all assets will be made available on a marketplace with documentation, you know, and technical details. But I don't know if you can see also the question. Arnaud, I don't know if you wanna say something more on this. What is your interest, right? Experimentation, research, or commercial use? Yeah, and then Alper could answer.
Yeah.
So just, I'm sure that there are many people that could be interested in such platforms. So, well, it's really a general remark. How can we access the results of code?
Currently, it's well, our data. I think the graph. Well, the list of addresses, we made it public. I can send you the address where we posted it. But currently, our solution is hosted on AWS, and we are interacting with it. So it's not ready to be rolled out to the public. Like I said, you know, we have to get the scoring, etc., to be done. But even with the graph or the subgraph, you can have your own algorithms running on it. It will be available on the marketplace, like John said, for sure. The licensing, there is also a bank involved in it, Active Bank from Turkey. So I don't know, honestly, the exact answer to this, but if you shoot me an email, I will be happy to get back to you. But we have to resolve this last licensing, or maybe we have already answered it. John, do we have an answer to this?
Well, I think that's for the IP owner, right? And you know, it's you as a university. You are, I would say, more friendly to open licenses. But
Exactly. Yeah.
if the bank is involved, yeah, I don't
yeah. So that's
Active
the
Bank,
only.
right? Active Bank is
Yes.
one of our partners, you know, in Turkey, which has been provided with a very big client base, very big bank. And
But ideally, we would like to make it open source. I mean, that's what we had discussed with earlier. So we would like to make the platform open source, but maybe the add-ons on it, they could be, you know, other kind of licenses around it. But the platform that provides you the graphs, subgraphs, etc., I think they could be open source. I don't see any problem with that.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
So what we can do, I don't know for sure, is you know, we have your email. We have the email of all participants that are registered here. So we will get back to you when the asset is available, right?
Yeah, very good.
I mean,
very nice.
First
Thank you
with
very much.
documentation, and also secondarily, when the code is available, we will also come back to you and you know, keep in touch on this.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. So that's you know, let's say the end of our content for today. We have 10 more minutes till the end of the program. What I would suggest, as I typed before, for us it will be really appreciated if you could, you know, just click. I mean, I think it's not. There is no point in having a break now because we are just 10 minutes left, but. What I would suggest is that we would really appreciate if you could click on the link on this form. Of course, we can administer it to your email as well, but we would really appreciate if you just take, you know, it's just a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, instead of this break, to fill in this form, give us some feedback, because we're going to have a follow-up blockchain workshop. And then, you know, after these 3 or 4 minutes, I'm going to do a wrap up and just inform you about one of our next workshops on March 16, which is actually a very exciting workshop. It's going to be on artificial intelligence for portfolio risk assessment. So whatever you know is important for creating profiles of customers and suggesting personalized investments, personalized asset management, recommendations, and also automation. So I'm going to tell you a few things about this once we wrap up. I suggest that we take, you know, a short 3 or 4 minute break, but I would really appreciate or like to ask you to just click on the form and give us some honest feedback. If you don't want to be identified, you can, in the email address, use an email which is, you know, just fake. We have anyway your email if you don't want to be identified, but for us, we don't want you to give us, you know, positive comments necessarily. We want this feedback in order to improve the systems. So we would greatly appreciate if you do this for the next 4 minutes, and then I will give you a 2 minutes goodbye with information on the next workshop. Thank you very much anyway for joining, and please, we would appreciate if you could fill in and this form with some feedback information. Thank you very much. So talk to you in 4 minutes, right? And I hope you fill in the form in the meantime. You can see the form in the chat. So many thanks to those that already have already submitted the response. I see some responses in the system. I'm happy about this. So please, if you, some more people can give the feedback, that's also appreciated. And I like to see some people outside INFINITECH, but also people within INFINITECH, if they can give their feedback, that's also very useful. So having said that, I'm going to do a wrap up. Today it was, a thematic workshop in the series of INFINITECH workshop. We dealt with the blockchain topic. We're going to have certainly more blockchain workshops in the future, and you will be invited. But in the meantime, in the series of workshop of INFINITECH, recall what we said this morning. We all areas of the financial sector, and also some cases of insurance in terms of the use of big data, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things and blockchain technologies. So we have things like usage-based insurance using Internet of Things technologies. We have things like personal finance management using big data. So in this context, we have more events, and we will take the freedom to invite you. Of course, you can always opt out. That will be an option when you receive our emails. So our next workshop is on March 16th. And it's a very exciting topic, is using artificial intelligence and big data for portfolio risk assessment, and the use of portfolio risk assessment for different types of applications. So we will cover Forex trading, high frequency Forex trading, where we will calculate value at risk using machine learning. We will cover personalized asset management, so from independent asset managers, again, using big data for the risk assessment and profiling. And we will also cover personalized investment recommendations for the wealth departments of banks destined for retail customers. So actually different applications, all rooted on using big data and artificial intelligence for risk assessment and profiling the customer accordingly. So we expect to see you in that workshop, or some of you, in 2 weeks, although we understand that some people, are more on the blockchain topic, blockchain enthusiasts, but we would like. And also we will check, and to some of you we will send again the form if you don't do it now. So you won't skip easily from giving us this feedback. It doesn't matter if it's not a good feedback, but we would like to have it. So if you don't fill the form now, you will get an email from us, prompted to do so. I would like to thank everybody, and also remind you that all the presentations and all the recordings will be uploaded in the INFINITECH sites, and you will be notified for it, so that you can access recordings and presentations. Thank you very much. I think I can close the recording just on time. We can close this event, and we hope to see you soon in the next workshops. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.